they don't know what they're getting themselves into. Like they're gonna make it so they can't buy eggs. It's time for bookkeeping, beer, and BS. People love to vote for and talk about like ideals, but not talk about what it costs to pursue a certain ideal. They leave out like the they hit like half of the argument, but they avoid some of like the secondhand impacts of it. And there's no like situation or I don't know the right word that I'm looking for, but there's no like event that can happen without a repercussion, right? Like you raise minimum wages, and it doesn't mean that people earning minimum wage are like better off. It just means that everything gets more expensive. Like it doesn't actually do what people think that it does. And we can see that mathematically what happens, but it's hard to look past that thing at the overall impact of the things. I always thought in my previous life, when I worked at Cargill, we would always laugh at everybody that like wanted to buy cage-free eggs. And there was this huge push in the laying hen industry to go to cage-free or these colonies or something like that, because we like the idea of animals having more space, even though it costs like twice as much then for the eggs, right? Cage-free eggs are like 3-4 times the cost of just regular dozen eggs. And so everybody like pushes for that because, well, yeah, chickens should have more room, right? But then they go to the grocery store and they're like, fuck that, I'm not paying $6 a dozen for eggs. Like I'm gonna buy these for $1.50 a dozen. And you're like, yeah, I know, but like you're the one voting for those $6 eggs.
That's a perfect example, because I think California recently like banned the chickens being in a coop. So eggs are literally like $5 or $6 a dozen right now.
Yeah.
People own their own chickens. Like I have multiple friends that just like bought chickens because they don't want to buy eggs anymore. It's like cheaper to own a chicken than it is to go buy eggs.
So it's like you're like shutting down an industry. Yeah, you're like but you're not willing to pay for it. You just voted for it, right? And Washington and Oregon are kind of the same way. That all those legislations were like going through when I was working in the industry, and it was like they don't know what they're getting themselves into. Like they're gonna make it so they can't buy eggs. Like all of a sudden, eggs aren't a cheap, affordable protein, and that's kind of what we have them around for. Is they go into like everything, and pretty soon, like we're just not going to be putting them in anything. And maybe we're okay with that. Maybe we're not. But it's funny the shit that we vote for.
We've got 14 chickens, and I can tell you, we do not make money on the eggs that they produce.
Come to California, they will.
But exactly. They're really good though, and the kids have fun playing with chickens.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's what I hear too.
Yeah,
it's not a bad pet. Keeping the coop fine.
What time do they start making noise? What's usually
they make noise all the time. Honestly, like really late at night, they'll be pretty quiet, and then all of a sudden one of them will just get stirred up, and they're crazy. We also used to have ducks, and they are messy. They make big eggs that are good for baking, but not so much like scrambled eggs. They're like weird tasting.
Yeah, they're not fluffy.
Yeah, but like they're big. They're like
you get some runway out of them for baking.